Okay, I don't know why I keep wanting to run from the camera, so I'm just turning the camera on. Now, for that last video, I had a couple or three ideas written down that I wanted to share, and I found it somewhat awkward. I think I'd much rather just go with the flow. And if there are those who object to it, um, I'm that's just how it is. All I can say is be in your heart, because there is a flow that comes through here, and everything that's received is not just in the words. I think the words are pretty minimal, really. Okay, being multi-dimensional. Sometimes people will want to find out what their heritage is. Um, you'll hear people saying, I'm Assyrian, I'm Pleiadian. They've gone and maybe they've gotten some hypnosis done or whatever they've done in order to try to uncover their various lifetimes. And I want to play with that for a minute, because I don't find that it works. I have a healer I'm working with, Ken, who is able to see into these other lifetimes. He's able to do many things, including to give a reincarnational reading to tell you what your lifetimes are. And I haven't had him do that. We've mentioned it on and off, but instead it's only when it's relevant to what's going on with the session that we're working in. Something might pop up about some other lifetime. Other than that, we haven't gone there. And here's partly why. Okay, so let's look at the great big mega huge faceted gem that is creation, all that is. And let's just look at 3D. Okay, so we're not trying to look at gems within gems within gems. We just have 3D, and each and all of the facets. One is a blade of grass, one is, a deer, one is you or me or whatever. And in addition to everything that's physical, these are all the perspectives that Source has taken. Now, Source would be the central sun in the middle that is bright beyond bright, and that looks, let's just to play with it, Source looks out through each facet and gets a different perspective on life, on creation. So Source is experiencing itself as a blade of grass, as a deer, as a you or a me, as a tree, as a planet, as a whatever. All right? That's one way of looking at it. Now, when we look at it that way, just for a picture, just for a metaphor, so we've got the one facet, let's say, that's Teresa Ann. Well, what if we push a button somewhere and light up all the facets for all of the lifetimes, past, present, and future? And so there are any number of facets lit up all around this magnificent gem. And those could all be said to be me. They can't all be said to be Teresa, but Teresa is not who I am. This is a mask that higher self is wearing to have an experience here, to manifest. Okay, so are all those other ones. Now, some of them may be Pleiadian, some may be Syrian, some may be reptilian, some may be Gadawakian. I mean, what the heck ever. We are curious beings. We are source energy seeking experience, understanding, growth, and the sharing of love. I mean, the underlying thing in, through, and behind all of it, beneath all of it, is this love with a capital L. And we find the various facets more or less aware of this. Maybe awakening is just awakening to this and realizing that it's all love. I don't know. I don't define it. And defining things is a part of the path of separation. It's one gem. And yet we are having distinct experiences of the various facets, which are the masks that we're wearing as source to look out upon the world. All right. So how can I say I'm Pleiadian or I'm Andromedan or whatever? How can I do that when I'm all of these things? What do we do? Do we slap numbers to it and say, well, 30% of the time you were this and 40% of the time you were that, so, I guess you're really that? I don't think so. I really don't think so. So I don't find myself identifying with any of that. Or conversely, I find myself identifying with all of that. Who and what we are can't be neatly boxed like that. That is a vestige of the path of separation that we've walked. I noticed something the other day looking at the word opportunity. You could see it as a code word for opposed to unity. Stepping out of the unity into an opportunity for this, that, or the other. We have so much to learn. I mean, I can't sell it to you highly enough, the humble state where we're aware that we know basically nothing. And so we're open to seeing things anywhere. We're multidimensional. And so if we not only don't lock yourself into the box of your current mask, such as Teresa Ann here, see yourself, light up all the facets on this gem of divinity that you are. Light them all up, push the button and see where they light up around the place. And don't think you're not really seeing it. You are. There's a reality. And higher dimensionally, your imagination is your mind on higher dimension. Okay, so you're seeing that and you're seeing you. Now, how can you say you're this, that, or the other? Not only are you not Bob or Jane, your current experience, but you're not human or Pleiadian or, well, Pleiadians are human too. Anyway, you're not Gaian or Terran, and you're not Syrian, and you're not reptilian. And don't be afraid of the reptilian thing, my friends. Please don't be afraid of anything. All is you. All is one. All is divine. And we may not understand why it is that divinity is manifesting that way. That's one of my deepest ponderings, is on this thing of the darkness and the understanding of why it's a part of creation. I can't say that I have an answer, but I'm glad that I'm humble enough to know that I don't have an answer, and I don't reject my brethren that are walking that path. I don't want to buddy up with them, I don't want to have a conversation with them, not yet, not until I'm more together, more in possession of all of my faculties so that I can stand before them as more than just a piece of their livestock. You're equal to anything and everything that is. Nothing is better than anything else. It's all just one. So I find if you keep bringing your heart back to this, it's nourishing, it's refreshing. When we tend to get scared, when we tend to get feeling intimidated, when we tend to get weary or any of that, as we keep bringing the heart back into this oneness, we sup there, we're nourished from that, and it's a plugging in to the greater reality. So being multidimensional, that's interesting. I mean, on the other dimensions where I exist right now, you know, another thing that's true is you want to say, well, I want to go home. I've had it. My soul is weary with this incarnating on earth. There's a part of me deep inside that knows I'm not from here and I want to go home. Well, I'm going to draw you back to the gem and I'm going to say, who's home? What's home? You've lived on planets and stars. Stars do have populations that live in the higher densities. You've lived places where you didn't even have a body that you would recognize as such. What is home? Where is home? For me, it isn't anywhere in the material cosmos. It's deep within heart. When I have all of my lifetimes lit up and I'm looking and I'm saying, who am I? What am I? What is it that links all this up? Who and what is that? I want that. I am. I want oneness, unity, and integration with, I don't know, maybe some call it the oversoul. I don't know. I don't really have words for it. I'll just call it higher self. I don't even really have a good definition for a soul, because it seems to me that I'm looking at all of my facets that are lit up by whoever and whatever it is that I am, my experiences. And I'm thinking, doesn't each one have a soul, a unique individual soul to that experience? I don't know. I'd be okay with that, because it doesn't matter. It really honestly doesn't matter. There is that which is over and above it all that's much closer to my true identity. You can't pick an experience and say that's who you are. That's your experience. It's not your identity. So I don't know. They're rich experiences. They're precious. There's not a one of them without challenges and difficulties, most of them pretty tremendous. But who and what am I? We have to get way beyond 3D and any one lifetime, and even a star system that you want to hail from, you know, being Pleiadian or Sirian or whatever. That's too limited. I mean, you can do that, you can focus on that, but to do so is self-limiting. And there are those of us that have hitched our wagon to the very highest star possible. And right now, for me, I'm going to call it higher self, the higher self that has all those lifetimes in common. And I'm going to call home the heart. And it's a grander, finer home by far than the nearest and dearest of anything you've ever experienced in any of your lifetimes. And you're the creator there. You can create environments that please you and sustain them forever if you like. To go and visit. You enjoy going to the park, you can design and create, really create, other dimensionally, your wildest dreams. Now, from your higher self, of course. We're not talking indulging in worldly things. If you're thinking riches and that kind of thing, you're still in your head. So I guess without really leaving 3D too much, because remember, before I close this one, I'll say, you have many homes. For all of these lifetimes, even one lifetime, you have many homes. Now look at all of your lifetimes. Some of them you will have lived in the same house throughout your life. Some of them you'll have lived in caves and different places as a yogi in the mountains somewhere. Or as primitive man. You know, I believe that the Stone Age was the descent after a great big cataclysm of some kind or another. That was not the creation of man. That was the lowest point man ever got to. Man is much older than the powers that were want you to know. And the experience is so much richer. The genie's out of the bottle, friends. Okay, but what I had started to say was, you have many homes. Look at the homes in this life, and there'll be one that'll be perhaps most important, most dear to you. Now look at all of those facets on the gem that are lit up, that are your lifetimes, that you're living right now, that you have access to right here, right now, through the portal of the heart. You have all of those homes. Now look at the bodies you're wearing in those different facets. For most of us, unless you're a younger soul, they will not all be human. And so that kind of tweaks the definition of home a bit. If you're a reptilian, where do you live? Maybe you're a fish. I haven't had very many psychic readings in this lifetime, but this one lady gave a really neat presentation, and so I went to her afterwards and got a quick 15-minute reading. And she pulled up as one of the most important incarnations that I've had, I was a mountain range. Hey, anything's possible. I don't know. But I'm so open. And sometimes I'll err on the side of that openness, but I'd far rather do that than self-limit in any way. All right, now let me get back on track. I was talking about many homes. All right, now all the many homes that we just looked at, those are all 3D, pretty much. I mean, well, you could see them as all being 3D. All those 3D experiences. Because when we looked at the gem, I said at the beginning, let's just look at 3D. Now consider that you have another self, a full, complete, total, unique individual who abides on 5D, that has a completely different life, a fulfilling life, beyond probably what we know as fulfilling here. You have another self on 60, 70, all the dimensions, you exist there. And you have complete and total fulfilling lives. They're not all just hovering like a stack above you, all focused on your 3D experience. They have their own life to live. And that's you too. They have homes, one would assume. And so for each of your 3D lifetimes, stack it up. Now what does home mean? Pretzels the mind, doesn't it? Oh, that's really, really good, because then you can more easily find your way into heart. And I'll meet you there. Good day.